This is about the survival of the human race, an analysis and a commentary. Sandy Hook Elementary School Massacre. A 20-year-old man wearing combat gear and armed with pistols and a semi-automatic rifle killed 26 people, 20 of them children, at Sandy Hook Elementary School at Newtown, Connecticut. Witnesses and officials described a horrific scene as the gunman, with brutal efficiency, chose his victims in two specific classrooms, while other students dove under desks and hid in closets. Hundreds of terrified parents, fearing the worst, descended on the school in Newtown, about 65 miles north of New York City, after news of the shooting spread. Many arrived as their sobbing children were led out, each with a hand on the shoulder of the child in front. But by that time, all the victims were shot and most were dead, as was the gunman, identified as Adam Lanza, who took his own life. The children were said to be from 5 to 10 years old. A 28th person was found dead in a house in the town and was also believed to have been shot by Mr. Lanza. That victim, one law enforcement official said, was Mr. Lanza's mother, Nancy Lanza. The shooting rampage, coming less than 2 weeks before Christmas, was the nation's second deadliest school shooting, exceeded only by the 2007 Virginia Tech massacre, in which a gunman took 32 people and then himself. Law enforcement officials said Mr. Lanza had grown up in Newtown, and he was remembered by high school classmates as smart, introverted, and nervous. They said he had gone out of his way to not attract attention when he was younger. He was chillingly accurate in his rampage. A spokesman for the state police said that only one person had been injured at the school. All the others hit by the barrage of bullets from the guns Mr. Lanza carried. The rifle was similar to a weapon widely used by troops in Afghanistan and Iraq, died, suggesting that they were shot at point-blank range. One law enforcement official said the shootings occurred in 2 classrooms in one portion of the school. The principal was among the dead adults. Law enforcement officials offered no hint of what motivated the shooter. An official said that investigators were asking why, if the shooter's rage was directed mainly toward his mother, as appeared to be the case, he had opened fire on other people's children. Newtown, a seemingly postcard-perfect New England town where everyone seems to know everyone else, was plunged into sadness and mourning. Stunned residents attended 4 memorial services in the town on Friday evening as detectives continued the search for clues. In the cold light of the morning, faces had told the story outside the stricken school. There were the frightened, terrified faces of children who were crying as they were led out in a line. There were the grim faces of 3 women who emerged with their arms around one another, as if they were protecting the one in the middle. There were the relieved-looking faces of a couple and a little girl in a light blue jacket, riding high on her father's shoulders. The shootings, 10 days before Christmas, set off a tide of anguish nationwide. In Illinois and Georgia, flags were lowered to half-staff in memory of the victims. And at the White House, President Obama struggled to read a statement in the White House briefing room. "Our hearts are broken," Mr. Obama said, adding that his first reaction was not as a president, but as a parent. "I know there is not a parent in America who does not feel the same overwhelming grief, but I do," he said. He called the victims beautiful little kids. They had their entire lives ahead of them, birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own, he said. Then the president reached up to the corner of one eye. Mr. Obama called for meaningful action to stop such shootings, but he did not spell out details. In his nearly 4 years in office, he has not pressed for expanded gun control, but he did allude on Friday to a desire to have politicians put aside their differences to deal with ways to prevent future shootings. Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg of New York, who has been a vocal advocate for gun control, issued an exasperated statement after the president's speech. President Obama rightly sent his heartfelt condolences to the families in Newtown, Mr. Bloomberg said, but the country needs him to send a bill to Congress to fix this problem. Calling for meaningful action is not enough. We need immediate action. The governor of Connecticut, who went to Newtown, called the shootings a tragedy of unspeakable terms. Evil visited this community today, he said. Investigators will try to figure out what led a bright but painfully awkward 20-year-old to slaughter 26 children and adults at a Connecticut elementary school, while townspeople sadly take down some of their Christmas decorations and struggle with how to go on. In other words, these violent shooting rampages are increasing in frequency. Humankind's culture of violence has to change quickly and for the better. May the Lord of the light rest their souls. This too is another sign of the end of times as we know them, transition days, which is a time of extraordinary happenings, changes, and events. Again, it really is about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations, and that should be a very important question to ask. The limits are being reached. Matthew chapter 24. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. 2. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Luke chapter 21, verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with partying and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. 35. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. 36. Watch thee therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Revelation chapter 16, verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every human according as his work shall be. 13. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Everything that must change, quickly or rapidly, and for the better, because it's time for prophecy to be fulfilled. And all these are more signs.